this right here, you bunch of prima donna ballerina mother.
Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are continuing our awesome and in-depth off-season coverage of college football teams with Steve from collegefootballwinning.com. It's early July right now. We're going to take a look at Ohio State, and Steve from collegefootballwinning.com, of course, aside from giving winning picks during the college football season, covers college football all season long. Steve, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you for having me back, Peter.
All year long, I should say. All right, Steve, before we get into Ohio State, hear what you have to say about this team, ranked top 5 as of right now. Give a quick plug for collegefootballwinning.com. Tell everyone how well you've done these past few years.
Thank you, Peter. I'd be happy to. At collegefootballwinning.com, as you said, all we do is college football betting analysis all year round. I believe we're the only such service that offers a 100% money-back guarantee on the entire season. Last season, for our algorithmic betting recommendations, and we're a company founded on making betting recommendations for college football algorithmically. We call them our formula picks. We were 66.18% against the spread. Lifetime with our formula, those algorithmic betting selections, we're 63.04% against the spread. So now is the time to join us before the season begins. Get us for the entire season. Go to collegefootballwinning.com, put in coupon code SBR10, that's SBR10, and you'll get 10% off of any membership that we're currently offering.
All right, Ohio State. Right now, they're a plus 967 at Pinnacle to win the championship in 2015, and that puts them ranked number 4 according to Pinnacle. Only 3 other teams have shorter odds. And, last year, Ohio State, kind of a typical year for them, right? They were 12-2 straight up, but just 6-7-1 against the spread. And over the past few years, they've been right around 500 every year. They haven't had a really profitable year betting-wise since 2010. And, hard for me to imagine that Ohio State will be undervalued this upcoming year. What's your take on Ohio State for the upcoming year, Steve? What can you tell us?
Good introduction, Peter. Yes, I thought we would talk about 2 things. We would talk about their season against the spread expectations, or our considerations for how they're going to do against the spread the whole season, and the possibility of a national championship futures bet. So you and I have talked about expectations a lot because they drive betting lines. So here we are in the offseason, and this is what people need to consider when they're thinking against the spread for the season and they're thinking Ohio State. Many people think that Urban Meyer is one of the best, certainly top 2 or top 3 coaches in college football. Okay, high expectations right there. Ohio State, most people think that's the best football program in the Big Ten. All right, high expectations there. Senior quarterback Braxton Miller. Right now, he has the 3rd shortest odds to win the Heisman Trophy. High expectations for their quarterback. You already said Pinnacle has him as the 4th shortest odds to win the national championship. High expectations once again. All of those facts, when you put them all together, they just scream high expectations for Ohio State in 2014. Anything raising expectations for a college football team is generally bad for an against-the-spread season. So let's start there. You and I did a video, and it was based on an article that I wrote for SBR, and it was called Conditions for Profitable College Football Betting. So we laid out basically just 3 principles for having a successful against the spread year if you're a college football team. Number 1, so here's what's desirable. Number 1, you want to be unranked in the preseason polls, namely the Associated Press. Well, Ohio State's only been unranked 4 times since 1950. So they are always bringing with them a ranking and some high expectations there. They are definitely going to be in the preseason top 25 again this year, no question. They're certain to be in the top 10. They might even be in the top 5. So there we are. They have high expectations right there. The only time they were ranked in the preseason top 10 in the AP in the last 3 seasons was last season, and that happened to be Ohio State's worst against the spread season in a decade, and that is not coincidental. The second principle that we are looking for in the offseason when we're considering a college football team against the spread, we want them to have been unprofitable against the spread this season before. 2013, last season, Ohio State was indeed unprofitable, 6-7-1, so it's winning just over 46%. The past 12 seasons, so that is more than a decade, so 12 seasons, every time Ohio State has been unprofitable for a season, the next season they were profitable. So that says something perhaps positive about Ohio State for 2014. But I think moreover, of the 3 principles, this one probably carries the most weight in general with college football teams, and that is we're looking for them to have an increase in their straight-up wins from the prior season. The last 10 seasons, every single time that Ohio State increased their straight-up wins from the prior season, they had a profitable against the spread season. 2/3 of the time that they decreased their straight-up wins from the prior season, they were unprofitable. So 2013, you already said they won 12 straight-up games. So they are looking to exceed 12. They're looking to get 13 straight-up wins to fulfill this final principle here. Now, that's the equivalent of Ohio State winning all of their regular season games and one of their postseason games. So that could be a Big Ten championship. That could be a college football playoff game, bowl game. But they'd have to win all the regular season and one postseason game. That's a lot. We have concerns for Ohio State going into this 2014 season. Consider 2013. They averaged rushing 6.68 yards per carry versus FBS competition. That was the best FBS average since 2009. They will not have the services of running back Carlos Hyde, who last year had 7.29 yards per carry against the FBS. That's crazy. He's gone. But even more than Carlos Hyde, I believe it was the offensive line that allowed that 6.68 rushing yards per carry. That offensive line is losing 4 of their 5 starters going into 2014. Now, this offensive line for Ohio State 2014, collectively, they have less than 30 career starts. Put that into perspective, the last 12 seasons for so-called Power 5 conference teams that return less than 30 starts on the offensive line, they averaged just 3.51 yards per carry, just 5.5 straight-up wins, Peter, and an against-the-spread winning rate of just 43.75%. Not good for Ohio State for 2014. Now, to be fair to Ohio State, of that entire group, Ohio State does have, I believe, the most talent. So they are going to be able to replace those great offensive linemen with real talent there, but they still, looking at collectively less than 30 starts, it is absolutely unreasonable to conclude that this offensive line will do as well as last year's. Totally unreasonable. Concern number 2, 2013, last year, their passing defense was ranked 118th versus FBS competition. Now, even with that passing defense being so bad, linebacker Ryan Shazier, who is now a Pittsburgh Steeler, was just sensational. He had the second most solo tackles in the FBS, second most tackles for loss in the FBS. He had the 10th best forced fumbles in the FBS, and he led Ohio State in all of those categories the year before, in 2012 also. He is gone. So as great as the talent is at Ohio State, Ryan Shazier does not come along every season. We do not think there's anyone on the roster who can equal that production. So his loss will be felt in 2014. That's a problem. So our season conclusion, it's not impossible for Ohio State to get to 13 straight-up wins, given a favorable Big Ten schedule, but 13 straight-up wins does not give a team a lot of wiggle room. So we are not hopeful or optimistic about either a national championship futures bet or having a profitable against the spread season in 2014 for Ohio State. Just a few trends, some betting trends for Ohio State before I leave you. Line movement. So the difference between opening and the closing number when they're posting a betting line. Under Urban Meyer, that line movement has suggested the wrong side 54.17% of all their games. So don't look to line movement to tell you the correct side there. Reverse line movement. Reverse line movement is often an indicator of where the sharp money is gone when it opposes the majority of the public bets. The reverse line movement side has been wrong more often than it's been right under Urban Meyer at Ohio State. Urban Meyer's Buckeyes, when they're underdogs, they've only been underdogs twice, but they won. They beat the spread both times. In Ohio State games where the spread is a touchdown or less, so close games, under Urban Meyer, they're 75% against the spread. That's something to keep in mind. They win those close games against the spread. This is an odd one. When quarterback Braxton Miller scores at least 2 rushing touchdowns, they're just 30% against the spread. So read from that, the more their quarterback has to do, usually that's an indicator of the more trouble they're in that game. So keep a lookout for that. Ohio State is just 1-8 against the spread when they allow more than 4 rushing yards, or 4 yards per rush. Now totals. not particularly noteworthy at home, but the total went over in 72.73% of all Ohio State's away games under Urban Meyer. So that might be something you want to look at. So again, our conclusion, we will not have money on Ohio State to win a national championship this year, not on a futures bet. And we're not particularly optimistic about them having a profitable against the spread year.
All right, thorough summary, as always, Steve from collegefootballwinning.com. Indispensable info there. Thanks so much.